Thank you for looking after our little one for the past week. I'll be picking him up today. What? We weren't home. Sophia's sister-in-law's voice on the other end of the line sounded shaken. Wait, where is my son right now? Sophia's concern spiked. My name is Sophia, a 34-year-old stay-at-home mom. I've been married to John for 4 years. Last year, we moved in with John's parents to help care for his dad, Matthew, who was struggling with his legs, and his mom, Victoria, who became his primary caregiver. We thought it would be too much for Victoria to handle both housework and caregiving, so John and I offered to move in. At first, they were hesitant, but eventually welcomed the idea. John's brother, James, works for a global company and is currently abroad on business. That's why John, being the younger son, felt it was his responsibility to stay close to his parents and initiated the move. Living in my in-laws' house, I had no complaints. Victoria always appreciated my cooking and help with chores. They treated me kindly, and I always felt serene in their presence. John has always been kind-hearted, much like his parents. Living together was enjoyable until tragedy struck. Matthew's health deteriorated, and he passed away at the hospital. His death deeply affected Victoria and John. We held a funeral where many people attended, including James, who came back from abroad. John, Sophia, thank you for taking on so much responsibility as the eldest son. James expressed his gratitude during the difficult time. I should have been the one to stay with Dad. Don't worry about it, bro. Your job overseas is important. That's right. I found happiness living with Matthew and Victoria. Thanks, both of you. I have to head back to my assignment, so please continue to look after Mom. James expressed gratitude before leaving, clearly feeling bad about not being more involved. He seemed sorry for not participating in household affairs after Matthew's passing. Despite James's departure, we continued living with Victoria, not just because he asked us to, but out of genuine concern for her well-being now that she was alone. Victoria appeared deeply saddened since the funeral, and both John and I were cautious in our interactions with her, not wanting to overwhelm her. We carried on as usual, being attentive to her needs. Gradually, Victoria started feeling better. Thanks, both of you. I'm okay now. Sorry for worrying you, she said, smiling warmly. Both John and I were relieved to see Victoria back to her old self. From then on, the three of us lived peacefully as a family. However, a new source of tension emerged in the form of Olivia, my brother-in-law's wife. Hello, looking forward to another great day, she would say, dropping off her son Alexander frequently. Alexander was a well-behaved 5-year-old, and Olivia believed leaving him with us would be a good distraction for Victoria, who had recently lost Matthew. While Victoria enjoyed spending time with her grandchild, Olivia's constant dropping off of Alexander became exhausting. Olivia claimed she couldn't take care of him during her part-time weekend work, insisting that Victoria, now free from caregiving responsibilities, should accommodate him. Although Olivia's assertion wasn't entirely wrong, it didn't make it acceptable for her to impose her child on us without considering our plans. I wonder why she doesn't work during the weekdays when Alexander is at preschool. That way, she could pick him up after work. It's puzzling. Do you think my brother knows about this? I mean, if he's in a global company, does she even need to work this much? John and I had that conversation when Alexander got dropped off during the weekends. John couldn't relax after work, and I had a part-time job on weekdays, so we preferred peaceful weekends with John and Victoria. Our plans would get thrown off when Olivia suddenly showed up to drop off her child. Finally, John and I asked Olivia to minimize the frequency of her visits. We have our plans too, you know. It's troublesome when you keep leaving Alexander here, John remarked. Olivia retorted defensively. Oh, what plans could possibly be more important than my job? John shot back. Why not you consider working when Alexander is at preschool? Then there's no need to leave him here. This infuriated Olivia. How terrible. You people don't care about family at all. It's sad to have relatives like you, Olivia said emotionally, screaming loudly. John and I were taken aback, but Victoria stepped in to mediate. Let it be, John. I enjoy spending time with my grandson, so it's no problem for me. Good on you, Victoria. I knew you'd say that. Alexander seems fond of you, and it's better to leave him with someone we can trust, Olivia commented with a smug look on her face. Since then, the frequency of her dropping off Alexander increased. Lately, she's even been bringing him over from preschool until the evening on weekdays. I was surprised to find Alexander at home when I returned from my part-time job. Sure, it's tough for her to look after the kid alone while James is away on a business trip, but she's definitely taking advantage of us. At this rate, we're practically taking care of Alexander half of the month. When he's with us, we often end up feeding him lunch, snacks, and sometimes even dinner, and Olivia doesn't contribute any money for food or anything. The burden keeps increasing on our end, and it didn't sit well with me. However, Victoria accepts everything, so neither John nor I could say anything further. Amidst all this, an unexpected incident occurred. The weather had been scorching hot, and the moment you step outside, you're dripping with sweat. We were all cautious, and one day, I returned home from my part-time job to find Victoria had collapsed. We immediately called an ambulance, and they confirmed it was heat stroke. Luckily, she fell just before I got home, so she was all right. But she had to be hospitalized for some time. I got so focused on housework, I didn't realize I was overheating. I'm really sorry for worrying you, Victoria apologized. It's okay, Mom. Thankfully, you're safe now. John and I reassured her, chatting with Victoria in her hospital room. We were relieved, but we had planned a family trip set to depart the day after tomorrow. If Mom's in the hospital, the trip's going to be a problem. Yeah, we'll need to cancel, we discussed. As we were discussing this, Victoria suggested, why don't you two go ahead without me? But Mom, we're worried about you. We expressed our concerns. Right, we can't just leave you behind and go, we insisted. You two always help me out, so now's the time to have some alone time as a couple. I'll be fine. I'm in a hospital, after all, Victoria encouraged us. Feeling reassured, we decided to proceed with the trip. It was a waste to pay the cancellation fee for 3 people, and maybe I could change it without having to pay anything if I'm the only one who doesn't want to go. After being encouraged so much, we decided to go on the trip as well. Since John was also on summer vacation, we got into the car early in the morning on the day of the trip and headed for our Ocean View hotel. Excited for a trip as a couple after so long, we stopped at various shops on the way and found some knickknacks that Victoria would like in a chic boutique. While thinking about grabbing some lunch at a cafe, my phone rang. It was Olivia. Sophia, why aren't you answering your phone? I called an hour ago and even sent messages, Olivia questioned. Sorry, we're out at the moment. Must be nice going out while I'm working, huh? Olivia began with her usual passive-aggressive comments. Just when I thought everything was fine, Olivia dropped the bombshell. Look, I left Alexander by the front door. Take him inside and look after him, would you? What? All right, you handle the rest. Wait, hold on a sec. I tried to say more, but she hung up the phone. Despite my attempts to call her back, it seemed she had turned off her phone, probably annoyed with my constant calling. I promptly discussed the situation with John. Despite today not being excessively hot, it was still summer, and leaving someone outside for hours could lead to heat stroke. Moreover, who leaves a 5-year-old alone outside? The problem was that John and I were already far from home, having left early in the morning. Seeing me panic, John calmly said, Relax, let's think this through. I'll call my brother. He's probably off work today. With that, John called James, and fortunately, James picked up quickly. John explained the situation, and James, shocked, provided us with Olivia's parents' contact number. John then called Olivia's parents, explained the situation, and they agreed to pick up Alexander. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Olivia's parents lived only about an hour's drive from us, so they could retrieve Alexander without much trouble. Apparently, he was sitting in the shade, looking distressed. Olivia's parents quickly gave him some water and took him to their house. He was safe for now. John and I felt relieved and went on to enjoy our trip. But Olivia turned out to be one exhausting person. We agreed that we needed to give her a piece of our minds. However, what happened next was beyond our expectations. About a week later, Olivia called me, saying, "Hey, thanks for watching Alexander for a week. I'll pick him up today," as if she had done nothing wrong. "What are you talking about? What do you mean, you got heat stroke and lost your mind?" "I'm coming to pick up Alexander," I responded. "We weren't even home. We were out of state when you said you left Alexander at our doorstep," I added. Olivia was clearly shaken over the phone. "Then where is Alexander?" "He's at your parents' place," I informed her. "At my parents'? They've been watching over him," I continued. "No way." Olivia abruptly hung up, most likely heading to her parents' place. About an hour later, Olivia showed up, demanding, "Where is Alexander?" The moment she entered the living room, she was speechless. That was to be expected because there we all were. Olivia's parents, us, Victoria, and even James. "Why is everyone here?" Olivia seemed confused. Then Olivia's parents spoke up. "You really are beyond help. Mom, what's going on all of a sudden? Word is you've been dropping off Alexander at James's parents' way too often, haven't you?" "Well, I've been busy with work, so it's just on weekends," Olivia tried to excuse herself. "That's no excuse, dropping him off every single weekend," Olivia's parents chided. "I also heard from James's mother that you've been leaving him there on weekdays too." Olivia's mother and father confronted her like this. Feeling cornered by her own parents, Olivia defended herself. "I'm working, you know. It's okay for me to get a little support. Victoria and John are free anyway," Olivia reasoned. James chimed in to counter Olivia's justification. "I've been transferring you enough money, haven't I? You even said you needed more, so now I'm sending you $3,000 a month for living expenses, and you're saying that's not enough?" "Yes, that's right. $3,000 is not enough." Olivia became increasingly defiant. "Any reasonable person would think you could live quite comfortably with $3,000 a month for living expenses when it's just you and a small child," James retorted. That's when Victoria sided with Olivia. "Why don't you just stop lying?" Victoria challenged. "What? I'm not lying. You're not really working, are you?" Olivia's eyes widened at Victoria's words. "I am working." Olivia started to panic under Victoria's scrutiny. Victoria then pulled out an envelope and spread its contents on the table. "I hate to say this in front of your parents, but I've had my suspicions about you, so I had an investigation done. It turns out you've been having an affair. You met him often on the weekends, and you left Alexander with us even on weekdays when you could manage the time." Victoria began laying out photos as proof of the affair. "Stop. Don't display those pictures like that." Frantic, Olivia tried to hide the pictures. "What you've done is a betrayal to all of us. James, who's been working hard on business trips, Sophia and John, who've been caring for Alexander, and most of all, you've betrayed Alexander," Victoria continued, revealing the evidence. It seemed Olivia finally realized the gravity of her actions. Olivia broke down and apologized deeply in front of us. "I'm really sorry. Can you find it in your hearts to forgive me?" Olivia kept apologizing, but some things can't be fixed that easily. James walked up to Olivia and handed her a piece of paper. "These are divorce papers. Let's end our relationship." "I don't want a divorce." "Shouldn't have had an affair then," James replied sternly. "I'm ashamed to say you're my daughter. Stop causing trouble and just agree to the divorce." "No way," Olivia protested, but no one in the room was on her side. Eventually, Olivia signed the divorce papers, sealing the end of her marriage with James. James was granted custody of their child. He spoke to his company about the situation and decided to return to the U.S. sooner than planned. Although this cost him a potential promotion, James said life with Alexander is more important, and they're now living together in an apartment near our family home. As for Olivia, she's been sued for alimony by James and her affair partner. She was also disowned by her parents and is working desperately to pay off her monthly installments. Olivia wanted to see Alexander, but he refused. Apparently, Olivia was too absorbed in her phone to take care of him and often neglected his basic needs. Who would want to be involved with someone like that? Turns out Olivia's affair partner was also married, and now his wife is suing her as well. Even worse, he decided not to divorce, leaving Olivia with massive debt and losing everything: her child, James, and her parents. From now on, she'll live a lonely life with most of her earnings going toward alimony payment. But she brought it all on herself. It's the punishment she deserves for her betrayal. Meanwhile, John and I are living happily with Victoria, and since Alexander and James live nearby, we regularly go out for meals or have barbecues in our in-laws' backyard, enjoying quality family time. I plan to continue cherishing this family I love so much and live out my days in happiness.